Hello and welcome to Scary Movie and a Sandwich, a show all about cozy foods and creepy, scary things. I'm your host, Artem Yatsanov. Thanks so much for joining me today. Every week on this show, my guests and I will pair a unique sandwich with a perfectly curated horror movie. We get deep on the meanings and the layers of both the sandwich and the movie. This week, my guest is an incredible comedian, actor, improviser, Carlos Orlando. Los Angeles-based, this performer is out of this world. What a great guy. Love this dude. Funny guy, big talker, big feeler, big thinker. We got deep. We went in, we did it all. Huge fan of Carlos. Carlos Orlando, you can catch him right now in 2 shows. He performs every month with an all-Latinx comedy group called Menudo. The first Friday of every month, you can catch them at UCB Theater, that's the Upright Citizens Brigade, performing Menudo Feliz Hours. And the fourth Friday of every month, you can catch them at UCB performing Menudo After Dark. Both shows are fantastic. Any show with Carlos Orlando is going to be divine. Chef's kiss. Thank you so much, Carlos, for joining us. We had a fantastic episode, and I'm so excited for you all to check it out. Before we get going, just want to thank The Carving Board. Our sandwich today comes from this fantastic establishment that's in West Hollywood. They've got a great menu, a great assortment of fantastic, lovely, delicious sandwiches. Highly recommend it. Go to West Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard to The Carving Board. Thanks so much. As always, I just want to thank my crew. That's horror correspondent Antonia Lassar for your flawless reporting as always, and to Luther Thompson for your incredible, genius, brilliant, original artwork for the show. Lastly, our music today comes from the band Liberty. Thank you so much. Well, without any further ado, folks, welcome to Scary Movie and a Sandwich, a show for anyone who's ever been afraid or hungry. Enjoy. Welcome to Scary Movie and a Sandwich, your easy listening and easy watching podcast and vodcast about all things scary and all things tasty. I'm your host, Artem Yatsanov, and today on the show, we have a wonderful, magnificent guest. I'm super thrilled to have him on. Carlos Orlando is a comedian who works at UCB a lot. He's a characters guy. He is an improv dude. He does sketch. He does stand-up. He's also a full-time actor. And you have seen him frequently on your TV sets during commercial breaks. Folks, I'm extremely excited to welcome Carlos Orlando.
What's up, y'all? How's everybody doing out there in podcast listening land?
That's right. Welcome, man. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
It is a blast. I'm excited to talk about this pairing today with you.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I've been watching a lot of scary stuff lately.
You've got a lot to say, and so let's get into it. So for anybody who's tuning into this for the first time, on this show, every week we pair a different sandwich with a unique horror movie. And my guests will pick the sandwich, and I will then give them some recommendations of movies I would pair with that sandwich. Carlos had a fantastic selection for a sandwich this week, and we landed on a pretty excellent pairing with it. Without further ado, Carlos, can you please introduce us to the movie and the sandwich we'll be experiencing today?
The movie is a little movie from 1983, I believe. 1983? Let's just say, let's pretend it's 1983.
It was the 80s.
We can fix it in post, but if it's not. Cujo.
Ooh, Woof.
Cujo from the demented mind of Stephen King.
Oh, love that king.
And we're pairing that with the LA classic, a sandwich that was invented here in LA, in Los Angeles, just like me, born and raised in LA.
Woo!
The French dip.
Yeah.
The French dip.
I love it. Great pairing. Amazing. So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Cujo before, we have for you right now an all-original synopsis. Without further ado, this is Cujo. Hey there, all you scary Sammies. It's time for the synopsis. Today with us, we have our very special horror correspondent. She is a world-famous comedian, a record-breaking chanteuse. She is the hottest in the biz. She's the love of my life, and I am thrilled for her to join us today. Our horror correspondent is Antonia Lassar. Now, Antonia Lassar, brilliant, perfect, incredible human being who hates horror movies. So Antonia Lassar has not seen Cujo. Antonia Lassar has not read this synopsis. So what you are getting is a fresh, objective synopsis of the movie Cujo. Folks, without further ado, please welcome Antonia Lassar.
Hey freaks, what's up? It's me, your favorite part of the episode, and my sidekick, Moisha, aka Cujo. Look at that steely-eyed rabbit glare. Knew it. I'm here today to tell you the synopsis about this movie that I bet I'm gonna love. Oh my god, I bet I'm gonna read it and be like, this is the best movie ever. Let's see what it's about. Cujo, great name. Cujo follows the terrifying ordeal of a rabid Saint Bernard. Turns out I don't like the movie. Hold on, I'm just gonna get moisture right under my chin. That's a really important part of this. There we go. Cujo, Moisha, I'll tell you, don't be too scared. He's gonna be so nervous. This is honestly kind of cruelty to animals. He's so floppy. For the listeners, in my hands is our attack dog. He's a genius. He's vicious, and he really wants to nap. This is Moisha, the tiny rabbi. He's 9 pounds. Chihuahua Terrier mix, probably. Also probably a little dragon. A little bear, you know the mix. And he wants to nap all the time, but especially right now. You can see him just drooping in my arms. Yeah, we're talking about you. For the listener, his eyes are literally closing as I speak. Okay, wow, we really spent a lot of time on Moisha. Let me tell you the synopsis. Cujo follows the terrifying ordeal of a rabid Saint Bernard. Oh no. All I knew was like there was a dog involved. Saint Bernard, they're so slobbery and they're so goofy, but this is a rabid one? Oh my God. Extra slobber, extra goofy. And it's relentless attack on a mother and her son. Oh, there are only 2 victims here? Or there are more. Okay. After being bitten by a bat, the once gentle Cujo becomes increasingly violent as the rabies infection worsens. Ooh, interesting. Okay, here's a fun fact about rabies. Once it hits your central nervous system, then it's totally incurable. But like they just haven't figured it out, except that I listened to one radio lab where they like put someone in a coma and like cooled down their body temperature so much that they cured them. I don't know. They should have tried it on Cujo. Anyway, okay, Cujo gets rabies. Bummer. In parallel, Donna Trenton, great name, who is in the midst of marital problems, oh, Chooky, decides to take her young son Tad to Joe Camber's remote farmhouse to get their faulty car fixed. Okay, Mom Donna, kid Tad, going to Joe Camber's remote farmhouse. I wonder, where do they live? Like the woods?
What's business team in King?
Oh, so it's in Maine. Got it. Tad, who's around 6, is a bright but anxious child who has a deep fear of monsters. Just like you, Moisha. Tad is afraid of monsters, a recurring theme in the story. Okay, Stephen King, so it's like all artsy about recurring themes. He loves that stuff.
Those kids in peril. That's the recurring theme.
Oh, he loves kids in peril. Tad's nightmares about monsters in his closet seem to foretell the real-life horror he and his mother are about to face. Okay, I'm envisioning this. It's like dogs, slobbery, rabies. Oh, gosh. Ugh, gross. When Donna and Tad I wouldn't even want to read this book. Sometimes for these movies, I think, I would read the book. This, I would not read. When Donna and Tad arrive at the Camber property, they find it eerily deserted. Joe has left, unaware of his rabid dog. Oh, it's Joe's dog. Bummer. As their car breaks down, they're stranded in the summer heat. Ooh, interesting. Summer heat. I feel like that's an unusual choice for a horror movie. Is it? It is. I know a lot about them. They're stranded with no way of contacting anyone for help. Cujo, now completely rabid. Bummer. I just want to point out how Moisha feels about all of this. Yep. Cujo, now completely rabid, traps them in the vehicle, battering the car with terrifying force. Tad's anxiety worsens as he experiences the trauma of the siege. Yeah, mine would too. Suffering from heat exhaustion and dehydration due to the extreme temperatures inside the car. Oh, faulty car. So it's like they can't turn it on or something. Okay.
Totally breaks down.
Yeah, his fear of monsters becomes tragically real as Cujo is a living embodiment of the terror he once imagined. Yeah, no shit. Throughout Throughout their ordeal, Donna has to balance her growing desperation with the need to comfort and protect her son, whose health begins to deteriorate, right? Because, oh my God, because they're just like dehydrating to death inside this boiling car while there's a rabid dog outside. Oh God, I hate this. This is exactly the kind of thing I worry about.
The getting trapped in the car is the most horrific part
Oh my God, this is horrible. Oh God. Do you ever sometimes when you're walking think to yourself, if a rabid dog attacked me right now, what would my escape plan be? I always think I'd jump on top of a car, but then I'm like, they'd be able to jump on top of the car, you know?
You have to get inside a car.
You got to get inside the car.
And you can't get out.
Oh,
And then it's Cujo.
jeez, this sucks.
Now you get it.
This sucks. Okay, the climactic ending sees... I hate this. The climactic ending sees Donna fighting Cujo in a final bloody showdown after Tad collapses from dehydration. Bummer. The ferocity of the rabid dog leaves Donna wounded, but her maternal instincts push her to face Cujo head on, striking him repeatedly with a broken baseball bat until the dog is dead. With Tad's life hanging by a thread, Donna manages to revive him using CPR. Oh, just as Vic, her husband, arrives. The gore and brutality of the scene are intense, with Donna covered in blood and Tad barely clinging to life, but their survival offers a glimmer of hope after the harrowing ordeal. Ugh. Just reading this was a harrowing ordeal. I hate this. Though I will just say that I have a recurring nightmare that I have to smash a snake to death with something, baseball bat, chair, that kind of thing. And it sucks in my nightmares, and it sounds like it sucks in the movies. You guys should not watch this. This is so upsetting. Okay, Moisha, let's go now. Bye.
Wow.
Not bad. Pretty good.
Wow.
That really kind of gets it all. Now, for those of you who have not had a French dip before, today we'll be eating one on air. So think of this as your sandwich synopsis.
Yeah.
This sandwich comes to us from...
Today's sandwich comes from the Carving Board.
Carving
Board.
The Carving Board is a local joint here in West Hollywood.
You haven't been.
I have had a couple of sandwiches.
You have had a couple sandwiches.
I always enjoy them.
Have you had this?
I've not had the French dip.
Okay, there you go.
This is great. All right, so Carving Board, thank you so much. We're excited. Let's get into it. Let's get a little close-up action here with the sandwich.
Oh,
it's in a thing. It's in a thing.
It's in a thing. Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
On ciabatta.
I like that. Not every day.
It also comes with chips, by the way. And these look like they are chips that were made in-house.
Yeah, that's classy.
But we're not done here.
Carlos, tell us how it is done.
Well, it also comes with this little dip, which I think is pronounced au jus.
Au jus.
Au jus. If I'm wrong, I don't care. If you see me on the street,
don't correct Carlos.
Don't ever correct me.
The presentation, gorgeous.
Very
sandwich
love that.
looks
Okay.
beautiful. Oh, they
There
got
it
the
is.
let's look.
Look at that.
Look at that. Yeah. And look at this cheese, just doing its cheese thing right here. Whoa! All right.
So the way you eat this,
Yeah.
you gotta dip it.
I don't want to do it wrong, so
You
let's.
gotta dip
You
it.
gotta
in the,
dip
what is
it
it
in-
called again?
Au jus.
Is it pronounced that way? I don't care.
It is now. Okay. Have I dipped it enough or not?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay. Cool. Okay, let's get into it. Cheers.
That's a French dip. That's a French dip, my friend.
That's excellent. By the way, this bread, so good for soaking this up.
I was a little nervous about the ciabatta, but it's actually a great soaker.
Excellent
It's a
soaker.
great spongy bread.
I love the onions on this. Great touch. The beef, tender, flavorful, delish. Almost like it melts in your mouth. Really tender.
Very satisfying. Carving board.
Freaking crushed it.
Yeah.
Huge fan. This is a good find.
I'm wondering how this sounds, this crunchy potato chip. Why hide it?
Oh, that's such a good bite. Oh, I like that bite, Carlos.
This is an ASMR podcast, right?
It is now.
It is now.
We found our niche.
Hey, check this out. You can take this potato chip, which, by the way, is amazing. This ain't no Lay's. Nothing against Lay's.
It ain't no
Nothing against Lay's.
ridges.
It ain't no Ruffles or Ridges or whatever.
What can you do with this?
You can dip it.
And
Get
dip
a
in
little
what,
dip there.
though?
Get it a little soft. Get it a little soft.
What are we dipping it in?
Sometimes in the au jus. Au jus. Now, do you dip your chip? What's your go-to dip for a chip?
If I'm dipping,
Let's talk about
I like a guacamole.
guacamole.
I feel like
I love it.
I'll dip anything. And guacamole.
Goes
Just
with
loves
everything.
Goes with everything.
You can use it as a face mask.
Is that true?
I don't know.
You can.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you can use anything as a face
You can use
mask.
anything
Yeah,
as a
it's
face
probably
mask.
not
This
going
is
to be
true.
good.
But I also like a nice cheesy dip, to be honest.
Queso?
Yeah.
Queso?
Queso's great. Especially when they make it nice and spicy.
Yeah.
Get a little heat on it.
I love queso. Love a good dip. Love a little spicy dip.
Are you like, you know what's funny is I've
Yeah.
now I remember when we went to get those other sandwiches at that other place.
East Side Deli in Los Feliz.
You guys are getting 2 for 1 here. Shout outs today. Eastside
Yeah.
Deli
Yeah.
and
Carving board on Sunset.
I remember then. Oh, we got halfsies. I got one type of sandwich. You
Yeah.
got a different kind of sandwich. We split them up.
I believe I got the chicken parm
Okay.
because it is very much a like I want to say a Chicago style deli.
Yeah.
I'm talking out of my ass right now. It's like a chicken parm and then something else. I can't remember. Was it like a meatball?
No. But that's what I mean. I think it was a chicken parm, and one of us got some kind of beef
Some sort of beef.
that we had. Then you got because we remember you asking for an additional thing of au jus.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah,
And
au
for us,
jus.
for us to dip in. And
Yeah.
we were both, and I think that was you were really excited about it. So I was going to ask you, are you like a dipper? Are you into like dipping things?
I think I'm like you. I love guacamole. I don't know if if your listeners can hear my hear it in me, but I'm a half Mexican, half Colombian man, born in America, born in Los Angeles, just like the French dip. And I love guacamoles. I love salsas. I feel like the best tacos, you can have a mediocre taco and it becomes amazing with the right toppings.
So
Yeah.
true.
With the right guac or salsa or whatever. Creme.
Talk about it.
You could. That's it. That's all I got.
You talked about it,
That's
right?
it. I talked about it.
I want to get into our tasty chats, but I think it would behoove us to enlighten our listeners a little bit to the history of the French dip.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the history much?
Well, when we briefly chatted about this because I told you the reason why I chose it was because there are 2 locations in Los Angeles who claim to be the
original.
the original. They have the original
They
French
invented
dip.
it.
Yeah, I've been to both. They are delicious sandwiches. But as far as history goes, maybe I glanced at like a Wikipedia page.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I will emphasize on this podcast, I do very little research. But I
You're speaking my language.
but I did end up glancing at a couple of articles briefly. But what's really exciting is, so there's these 2 restaurants,
Yeah.
Cole's and Felipe's, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're like in a heated debate. I like to mention they've got this rivalry. They're like, wait,
Yeah, it's a rivalry.
and they've been around. Both of them have been around since like, I think one of them opened up in 1908. I think another one either opened the same year or earlier. But they've just been around for such a long time, over 100 years. And there are these really interesting like lore legends, like, right, what is the French dip, right? It's
why is the French dip?
right, like, and you got to look at the parts. The parts are, you've got this, typically a French roll, could be a baguette.
Or a ciabatta.
In this case, it's a ciabatta.
It's a ciabatta.
Kind of little,
It's still out there.
it's still out there. But you've got to, typically it's a French roll. I think the dip part is that it's a French bread, and then the type of the sauce is
Yeah.
a very like French thing, to have an au jus, to have a reduction, to have a meat sauce. It's got beef,
Yeah.
and it's got sometimes onions, sometimes cheese, but like that's all really you need. It's like a very kind of like pretty elementary.
And then what is this thing? What is this? Au jus?
Au jus.
What is it? Is that what? I don't even know what it is. I'm gonna take a little sip just to kind of maybe figure out what's inside of it.
So au jus literally, I think, is a combination of like cooked. I mean, it's not gonna sound exciting, or it's not gonna sound really lovely, but it is cooked blood, because it's all of them. It's moisture that's come out of the meat. Plus,
You say this after I take a sip of it.
Well, we've all dipped it. We've
Yeah, we
all
all
dipped in the blood.
Yeah.
But it's, it's like cooked
It's
blood.
cooked blood?
Well, I mean, you're cooking for raw meat. Yeah, blood's coming off of it.
I don't like to think about those things.
All right. So those jus, like, sometimes it's seasoned, sometimes it's like simmered, slow cooked. Man, I don't know, but it's delicious. But
Yeah.
basically, it's a meat sauce.
Yeah.
But
Can we
it's
shout out those 2 businesses as well? I mean, we got Eastside Deli in Los Feliz. We got
Eastside
carving board on Sunset.
Carving board.
In West Hollywood. And now we got Cole's
Cole's.
downtown.
And Felipe's.
Felipe's or Philippe's. I don't.
Yeah.
Either one. Don't correct us if you see it on the street. If you see us on the street, we don't care.
Don't add us. Don't add us.
For this podcast, we're calling it Felipe's.
But some of the legends are someone dropped bread.
Accidentally.
Into a pan of meat drippings, aka.
And this guy that dropped it, he was, he thought he was going to get fired. He's like, oh my gosh,
sorry.
I'm so sorry. I've ruined this meal.
This never happens to me. I've never dropped a roll before.
Yeah.
And like a very lenient customer was like, don't sweat it.
Don't sweat it.
Bring it here. I know what to
Are
do
you
with
sure
it.
I could just make a new one?
No.
I'll throw this out.
I want the wet bread.
The wet bread?
Can you make it soft?
You don't want a hard French roll?
I want that.
But come on.
I want that one.
All right. Here
Give
you
it
go.
here. And
One bite.
History.
It's all history.
Right.
The rest
Just
is
like-
history.
So this man ate some soggy bread and was like, this is a revolution. Mm-hmm. You know, not only does the meat taste like me, but now the bread gets to taste like me. Mm-hmm. And another version of events, there was a customer who had sore gums. Mm-hmm. Had some kind of maybe cavities, I don't know, but had sensitive sore gums that came in. And like the chef at the time, or maybe it was actually one of like the waiters that was like, hey, listen, I know you love the beef sandwich, but the roll is real hard. Mm-hmm. I got something for you. I'm going to dip this in...
Not an accident.
No, it's like...
On purpose.
Because it's going to be nicer for your gums. And it was like, again, this guy, you know...
And the customer was just like, no, what, wet my sandwich?
What?
Are you crazy?
No, give it here.
No. But okay, all right, I'll try
fine.
it.
My gums are bleeding. I don't need this. Yeah, and the customer apparently loved it. Mm-hmm. And now there's these two different types of preps where at one of these restaurants, they'll serve it, I think they literally call it like wet, which they'll dip the entire sandwich. So it's like a fork and knife situation. Yeah. So it's like a real juicy situation. Mm-hmm. And the other one comes with, the jus on the side.
Mojado. It's like, that also means wet. Like, if you go to like maybe certain restaurants, you can have like a dish, like let's say a burrito, mojado. Mm-hmm. And it's just bathed in like sauce and like a salsa, like a, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you can have a nice wet tortilla as well.
What is that inspired by? Like, where do you think that idea
Bleeding
came
gums.
From?
Bad dental hygiene.
Bad dental hygiene.
I can brush my teeth or we can soak this bread for a while.
I'll tell you, one of those things I hate.
And I hate brushing my teeth, yeah.
So that's the very abridged, inexhaustive history of the French dip.
Yeah. I believe you.
Okay.
I believe you.
And now we're here.
Here we are.
Wow. We know so much about the movie. We know so much about the French dip.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we know so much about the carving board, East Side Deli, Cole's, Philippe/Felipe's.
Either one. I don't care.
One. They're both good.
They're both good.
I think it's time for us to get into the meat of this podcast.
Let's do it.
It's time for Scary Movie in the Sandwich patented tasty chats. Carlos?
Okay.
Let's get into it, bud.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
So I've got some questions here for you, some discussion topics.
I may have answers, but honestly, I'll have answers.
I'm counting on you to pretty much be able to solve any riddle.
Hold on, I gotta dip my chip in blood.
Let's go.
In cooked blood.
Cooked blood.
This is very Cujo, honestly. The idea of like dipping a sandwich into cooked blood.
Right. I don't know. As soon as you suggested French dip, not even knowing that much about the French dip, except that I've had it a couple of times.
Yeah.
It was like messy, meaty.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a real kind of raw animal kind of experience. Just get into it, It's like I was instantly just thinking of, that messy dog.
You're kind of like Cujo. Cujo! Poor Cujo, by the way.
Poor Cujo.
An adorable dog. And I'm sure a great dog actor. I mean, he killed it.
I just happened to listen to a podcast recently today.
Oh yeah.
We're interviewing the
dog?
who plays the mom. The dog. And she said they had 13 dogs
13.
who played Cujo.
You know, that makes sense. That makes sense because sometimes I would see this Cujo and be like, he's looking rough or something.
Yeah.
That ain't the same beautiful dog we saw at the beginning of the film. That guy chasing his little rabbit in a majestic field.
I know.
What a life.
What a life.
The dog's life.
Cujo versus Rabbit. I feel like I could have watched the beginning of the movie for like 2 hours. Just that. Cute little Saint Bernard running after. It's a Saint Bernard, right?
Saint Bernard.
Yeah. Okay. So, my first question for you: how did this movie and how did this sandwich arrive in your life? The French dip and the Cujo. When do you remember the first time you've seen Cujo and the first time maybe you had a French dip sandwich?
Well, we'll take a break from the sandwich because I feel like we talked a lot about sandwiches. Let's talk about Cujo. Cujo is a film that I will see the image of like on my streaming service, and it's something that I was aware of, but never had any interest in watching. And it's because it's like a dog, like an evil dog. Like nobody wants to see an evil dog, an evil dog that kills people. And I also just didn't know what it was about. And then here comes this podcast. You're asking me as a guest on this podcast, and you're saying I got to watch this film, or you gave me like an option of 3 films, and then this film was like on Max. I was like, great, I don't got to pay for it. I already got it.
Wow.
I saw this film 2 nights ago for the first time ever,
Oh, I love that.
and it was very 1983. The style, the hair, the dialogue, just
The
a
relationships
simple
felt very,
time.
a little different.
Yeah. There's some infidelity.
I've got some thoughts about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the sandwich? How did the sandwich arrive in your life?
You know what? It was a buddy of mine. This was like maybe, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. He was living downtown near the Philippe's.
Oh, okay.
Or Felipe's. Either one of
Oh.
those. And he was actually eating it. Like he had just gotten it for himself, not for me, because I had just got there. I think he was thinking maybe he'd like scarf down a sandwich before I got there. But he was still eating it. I was like, what you got there? And he was telling me a little bit about this history about it, like what we just talked about. And so I took a little bite of it, and I was like, oh my goodness. And you dip this?
In the blood?
In the blood? Yeah.
Oh, so you had it from the source.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Philippe's. And then I started remembering, because he was telling me the story, and I looked it up a little bit. And like I said, I didn't do too much research at that time either. But it's a very interesting rivalry. Cole's, which is a downtown deli restaurant thing that also has a speakeasy. And the only reason why I know about Cole's is because it has a speakeasy in the back called the Varnish.
Oh.
And the Varnish, I discovered I was basically wanting to go to the Varnish, and then discovered Cole's.
Wow.
I've never eaten there at Cole's, except for they have these boozy milkshakes. I did have a boozy milkshake there once
At Cole's.
at Cole's.
Wow.
Shout out to Cole's.
And does the kitchen stay open while the speakeasy is going on too?
Yeah, so it's basically this door in the back, and there's a guy there, and you're like, hey. I don't think there's a password. Just like I'm just here to come here, and then the door person just kind of keeps the place at capacity because it's a very small room. And once you walk in, there's a piano with music is playing. People. It's a very sexy small bar, great for a date or just a night out. The bartenders are maybe the best in Los Angeles. Like these guys make these handcrafted cocktails that are like you see them work, and it's like magic. Highly recommend. Haven't been in a minute, but yeah, Cole's. And then if you after you're done with your French dip, wherever you're getting there, head over to the Varnish.
A lot of shout outs today.
Shout out to the Varnish.
Free publicity all around.
But and I'm sure you can Google it. It's a speakeasy that's on Yelp.
Yeah,
which is not really
Google's also getting a shout out today.
Yes. Google.
Wow. If nothing else, there's a lot of shout outs today. We are definitely, we're out here. We're social folks is what it is.
No.
You mentioned something about, we talked about mentioned that there's a relationship element in Cujo.
There is.
Okay.
There is a relationship element and a family element there.
Yeah. Listen, talk to me about your take on this. I mean, what's up with this marriage?
Well, I was really a little shocked by it. Like, I was like, what is going on? Because they introduce you to this family. It's a husband, wife, and kid, all across the board, very adorable. Adorable kid, adorable wife, adorable husband. It's an adorable family.
Yeah.
Yeah, the perfect American family living in Maine in a perfect little house. Is everything perfect? No, there is something wrong. Something wrong in this household.
Yeah, Cujo's the least of their problems.
No, yeah. The first problem we're really introduced to is the first conflict is this guy, who I guess is the town stud, and I remember his name, Steve. Steve, and he is described by the wife as the town stud. What do you think? You're the town stud?
You think you're the town stud?
Yeah.
Can't be running around with a town stud.
I can't be running around with a town stud. And if you look at this guy, he's maybe.
I mean that town. Wow.
He might be like an 8 in that town, wherever they are in Maine. But in L.A., brother, they're a 2. This guy is
rough.
This guy's rough looking.
Rough.
He is. I guess he's the handyman or some sort of furniture guy. A carpenter.
Right.
Comes in.
Seems to be a bit of everything.
I think this is like the first, 5 minutes of the film? First 5-10 minutes of the film. Comes in, and you see the wife, mother. What's her name? I'm really bad with character names. I just remember Steve's names. I know Cujo's name. And for the rest of this podcast, I'm going to say husband, wife, child. No, the child's name is Tad.
Tad.
Terrible
Tadpole.
name for a kid.
Yeah. Also,
Terrible
what's it supposed to be? Tad is what? Theodore? What's Teddy? I don't know.
Call me Teddy. Call me Ted.
Teddy.
Call me kid. Call me Teddy.
But Ted is T-E-D. This is Tad.
Tad. Thaddeus?
Yeah. Thaddeus?
Thaddeus? Let us know in the comments.
Please add us.
Because we're not gonna look it up.
Yeah. I know the actress is named Dee Wallace.
Dee Wallace. You see her demeanor change, the energy, and we don't even see her face. It's just Steve comes into the house. He's like working on some project, like a table or whatever, one of their tables or something, and you see her just tense up.
Yeah, her just instantly.
By the presence of Steve,
She's
and
like,
you know
oof,
the viewer, because the director has clearly put the camera.
Oh yeah.
On
let's talk about the craft
on her
of filmmaking. Yeah. Right. You're like, something's up here.
Yeah.
And then we come to find out. Honestly, when I was rewatching the movie for the podcast, because I've seen this now, I think a couple of times, but it's been at least 10 years since I've seen it.
Yeah.
I was completely shocked by the fact that there's this affair.
Yeah.
And I was shocked that I couldn't remember it.
You couldn't remember? How many times have you seen this?
I couldn't remember that there was an affair in this movie.
You blocked it out. Well, I mean,
I just thought that they were having some kind of an issue. I just thought they were getting divorced.
Yeah.
And then they get stuck in a car, and then there's this dog.
This affair is a big part of this movie.
This affair is a huge part of this movie. I thought in my mind that they get divorced, and that's why she's by herself in the car. But it's like, no, wait a minute. They're not getting divorced. This is the whole thing here is that we're not sure where the relationship is going to go.
Yeah.
You know? Like, to me,
yeah,
the movie became... This is my other question I was going to get here.
Yeah.
The movie, to me, became about this person and her child stranded on their own because of something not going right in her relationship. Not. I'm not sort of gendering it, being like this woman needs to be protected by men, but I'm just saying she's by herself, and she doesn't have a buddy in crime here. You know, a buddy to defeat Cujo. Yeah. Like, I felt like the movie was that was sort of like, to me, became the thing the movie is about. But anyways, obviously now we've got the details. There's an affair. What about for you? I mean, we're kind of jumping around here a little bit on this thing I wanted to discuss, but like the dog. What does the dog symbolize to you? Like in this whole, we've got a cute kid, cute husband, cute wife, not so cute affair.
Well, I think after we're introduced to Cujo in the first, whatever it is, 2-3 minutes of the film, 5 minutes of the film, wherein Cujo is in that majestic field and he's chasing a little rabbit, and then he digs his head into the little hole, and there's like some rabies bats that infect Cujo.
Man, those bats.
And then we're introduced to this little boy, and this little boy is afraid of monsters. He's so afraid, he carefully times himself turning the lights off to run towards his bed. But before he can do that, he has to look under his bed. He has to make sure that there's no monsters, because he believes monsters exist. And Cujo, I guess, is this monster with rabies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or if Cujo, I'm really bad at stuff like this. Like when we're talking about like.
No, I think you're actually kind of getting into it.
Yeah. Cujo could be any of us. You can be a Cujo. I can be a Cujo. With the right amount of rabies, we can all be murderous Cujos.
Yeah. I also made this observation. I was like, what about Cujo?
Yeah.
What's going on in his life? What if Cujo's not aware that he's got rabies? What if, okay, let's imagine Cujo can think like you and I.
Have you ever seen a human being with rabies, by the way?
No.
There's like this video out there of, I think I probably saw it on Reddit or something, of a grown man with rabies, and they're trying to give him water to hydrate. And every time he takes a drink, first of all, he shakes. He shakes the glass or the cup or whatever, and he can't drink it. And once he drinks it, he spits it out. But he needs to drink it because he'll dehydrate. But to him, the water is like poison.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And you can see him just shake, like he's just shivering because the rabies is like coursing through his body.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and then that man ate everyone in that room.
Wow.
And they posted it on Reddit.
And they called him Cujo.
And they called him Cootie.
Cootie. Yeah, I had this other wild observation. I was like, what if Cujo, let's imagine Cujo can think like you or me.
No.
Is he looking at everyone as like threats? Is he looking at everyone as like, what do you call it? Treats? What is he looking at everybody as?
I think what happened to Cujo is that his raw animal instinct suddenly became it consumed him, because Cujo, like any dog, like this little moisture right here,
like that little guy,
this little guy descended from a wolf.
Yeah,
descended from a wolf. That's a wild animal.
Yeah,
a wild, sometimes bloodthirsty animal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened to Cujo. I guess it
referred to as like animal instincts. But I'm just wondering, those animal instincts, is everybody a food to him? Is he threatened by them? What in his animal instincts is he trying to defend his
that
territory?
Fight or flight, and all he wants to do is
just fight.
Just fight.
Yeah.
Just fight. Doesn't matter who he is. It could be his master. It could be that little boy. Thank goodness, that little boy. And we're not talking about the little boy that gets trapped in the car. We're talking about the other little boy that lives in the farm with Cujo. They were off for a week.
I love that. I love that they left. They missed this whole craziness.
They're gonna come back and find a mess.
A mess.
They're gonna find a big old mess.
They're gonna find Dad's dead. Dad's drunk buddy's dead.
Dad's
dog's dead.
Best buddy.
Yeah. A random cop is dead.
A random cop's dead. Cujo. Spoiler. Cujo. They might as well call it Old Yeller.
Ooh.
Shout out to Old Yeller.
Bow, 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 bow.
Great book. Great movie.
Why do people get pets?
Why do they get pets?
Yeah.
Well, why do you have this one? You know why.
Well, I'm now trying to think of what exactly inspired us to get Moisha. who's a perfect animal descendant, wolf descendant. But we kept thinking that it would be really sweet to have like a cuddly creature.
It is.
You know?
Yeah.
And what's kind of funny about it is like a part of you wants to have this like get in touch with something that's just like very pure and innocent.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's this.
And that's
this little thing right here.
Look at
How
him.
innocent you are.
Look at his little
Beautiful.
ear.
Give me a little kiss. Give me a little kiss. There
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go. Kiss
Look at his
that
little ear goes all bent back.
at him. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
this is fashion. Did you grow up with pets?
Yeah.
What kind?
Grew up with a I forget the breed. I want to say, I guess it's a Siberian Husky.
Whoa, okay, one of
husky.
those.
Just a big
Here in LA?
wolf dog in the valley. So I was born in East LA.
Okay.
But for the majority of my life, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, which is a suburb of Los Angeles here, just up north.
Yeah, yeah.
818.
Shout out.
Shout out 818. I grew up with dogs.
Yeah.
After Shadow was his name because he was a black dog.
Okay.
We got Cookie, and Cookie was like my dog. And Cookie was like a little something, like a mutt, like a little mutt, but a very cute mutt.
Big, small?
Very small. I would say about the size of this little guy right
Oh
here.
my god.
I'm really bad with breeds, but the greatest family dog we ever had was Rusty.
Oh
And
yeah.
Rusty, we have like my mom at her house has a framed photo of Rusty with a bow tie on, just looking majestic. A pit bull.
Ugh.
A copper colored red nosed pit bull
Oh my god.
that wouldn't hurt a fly. That was the most gentle, the most caring little creature. And he was with us for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember like going off to college and coming back, and he was still alive. I think he lived like maybe 16 years.
Wow.
A long time.
Pit bulls are kind of large too. I mean,
Big. He got real slow around the end, but
Mm,
but he was just doing a lot of sleeping then.
yeah.
And dogs, just like this little one, they love to sleep. You know what they are? They're a great lesson for your family.
Yeah.
Caring for something, feeding something. Taking care of them, walking them, teaching them tricks. Like it's a great companion and friend for a child, as it is any adult.
Yeah.
No, and eventually, they die,
Yeah.
and you got to learn about that. You learn about death.
And you're right. It's something that puts you in touch with that. It puts you in touch with carrying something outside of yourself. You know, and that level of empathy is also, I think, kind of lovely. I mean, one of the first things in this movie, for example, that they telegraph about the car repairman, the dad, that he's a piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
Is that
guy.
he's like really mean to Cujo, just
He's
like
mean to his
like,
wife,
"Well,
his
fuck you."
kid.
And you're like, wife and kid. You're like, well, he sucks, of course.
They helped us set up like, oh
Yeah.
I hope this is the first guy that dies.
But then you kind of see him be real careless around Cujo, and you're like, oh, well, this guy sucks. Yeah, we need this guy gone. You know.
Yeah. He was very happy around his buddy though.
Really.
That was the first time I ever saw him like smile, like him and his boys. Like, we gotta get out of here.
It's so funny. I think that actor does a really funny bit, like that little bit that he has in that, just because it's like he plays this character who doesn't know how to be happy well.
Yeah.
That when he is excited, it's just so odd.
It was very odd.
Well, hot dog. Whoa. You know,
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And it was just look, okay. So he's excited because his wife, and this is like the. I'm sorry, we're not saying characters' names, but this is the family that owns Cujo. They're on a farm. This guy's a
mechanic.
A mechanic.
Right.
And he's apparently a good mechanic, and he charges a fair price.
A fair price. That's right.
A fair price.
Say what you will about what a piece of shit father he is and husband.
But the man charges a fair price. You know, he's a dick, and you know he's dirty and all that. And at the dinner table with his family, his wife, and you can just see his wife is afraid of her husband.
Yeah.
Just being as quiet as possible,
Yeah.
just not making a sound, not making a move. She presents him with a gift. She won a scratcher or something, some sort of lottery thing. $5,000.
We're talking early 80s.
Yeah.
It's like a nice
$5,000 with inflation, that's $5 million. She presents him with this little scratcher, tells him, hey, it's $5,000.
And he's like,
All right.
all right.
He's not impressed in the slightest.
The worst part is that you actually see him be a little bit like, and then right away he's like, oh, I can't show her that I'm ever pleased with her.
You show your wife and kids your vulnerable side.
Your vulnerable side. Or validate their feelings. I mean, ugh. But back to the pet, having the pet, this like thing of taking care of something that's outside of you. You know, you're right. It's like such a valuable lesson. I think maybe there's something here that the sort of the story goes after. It sort of says, what if this pure center of adoration, this thing that you in some almost illogical way just gave this like, you know, all this care and affection for, what if that thing just went fucking crazy and wanted to tear your throat out?
It would break my heart.
It would break your heart.
It would break your heart. And we didn't get to really see that from that we didn't really see that side of it either. You know, because the kid that really loved Cujo told the other kid like, hey, he's really good with kids. You know, it's Cujo.
And then his mom was like, hey, listen, you can call your daddy tonight and ask him like, are you feeding my dog, daddy? And that's how you'll find out if Cujo's doing okay. And if he's back, you're like, so sweet, you know? Like,
very sweet. That little boy never got to see it. But, I mean, personally, if Rusty, the family dog, if he got rabies and went all crazy, it would break my dang heart. And I think that's basically the story of Old Yeller, right? Shout out, Old Yeller.
I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I'm a Ukrainian immigrant. And there's some things I did not grow up with. I only know Old Yeller in like pop culture context. But isn't the idea that he gets old and he starts biting people and they have to put him down?
He gets rabies, Old Yeller. And I couldn't tell you anything about the film except for this like iconic pop culture moment at that time, I guess. That's referenced a lot in pop culture, which is the boy.
He's like, no, he's my dog.
He's my dog. I'll take care of it. And the boy has to shoot Old Yeller.
Oh my God.
We didn't really get that in Cujo.
This brings up two separate stories. My beautiful, brilliant wife, her family dog just passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my God.
And sweet boy Archer. And Archie had been sick and not well for a long time. He'd gone old and slow, and everyone kind of in the family was like, all right, he's getting on. In some capacity, maybe it was one of those things where like a couple of years they were like, I think Antonia's mom kept coming downstairs and being like, is he still alive? All right, he's still alive. And that's like how it is with elderly animals. But I remember her telling me she had a friend stay over for Thanksgiving one year, and the friend met Archer for the first time, and Archer had this thing that Archer likes to eat socks. There was a cute little sign in the family home that says, be careful, don't leave your socks around. Archer eats socks. Yeah. Well, so Archer would eat socks, and whatever it is that would happen in his stomach, as he's like, it would cause him to have seizures.
Oh my God.
And when he would have seizures, apparently when he was coming out of it, he would be completely feral and frenzy for like 2 or 3 minutes.
What?
So he would be growling and barking, sort of glassy-eyed.
Bitey?
He would be like really disoriented, and he would be really aggressive. And then it would take like a moment, like somebody had to like talk him down, or I don't know what happens, but he would then come down. But it's this. Yeah. I always found to be like, like Antonia tells me, like this friend who experienced Archer just growling and like kind of barking at the door to the room where the friend was sleeping, because I think Archer just smelled like a foreign smell. This friend was like terrified. Like, what's wrong with your dog? I'm like, oh, it's having a seizure. I mean, it would be so scary to me, just terrifying. Like a dog that seems so sweet in one moment, and but this deep connection that we have to pets. It reminds me of like another story. A friend of mine's father was had a dog that he was sort of in charge of taking care of, and a similar thing. This dog just bit someone, and sort of the the agreed upon thing was, we got to put him down. We can't have him. And so they were like, all right, this is when he was younger. He's like, it's your job, go take him out there and shoot him. And he goes out there with a revolver, and it's like he discharges 6 shots. And next thing you know, the dog's running around. Like, what the hell did you do? And he's like, oh, they kept missing him. And the dog was just tied down, laying there. It's just he was so overwhelmed. He couldn't aim and bring himself to actually shoot this dog.
Yeah.
So intense.
It's a great story.
Can you believe it? It's just so I don't know what the takeaway there, but man, we love animals?
Do we love animals? I will say that this movie was a little hard to watch. It's a little hard to watch.
Tell me about that.
From the top.
Yeah.
From the top, because Cujo gets bit by a bat.
Yes.
Basically. And that's how Cujo gets rabies.
But those bats are so nasty looking, I have to say.
The moment that bat bit Cujo, you hear Cujo squeal.
Yeah.
And a dog can't act like a squeal. In order for a dog to squeal, a dog has to be either in pain or something. They can't be trained to squeal. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not going to look this up. From up top is are we going to hear these kinds of squeals throughout this movie? Because I don't want to hear any dogs getting hurt here.
But I think that addresses something interesting.
I don't want to see a dog in peril.
Okay,
or hurting.
So listen, you said this movie was difficult to watch. What's the scary thing about this movie?
That's the other thing. There's some good jump scares.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can call this movie a horror film. Is it a horror film?
Well, this is the thing is I feel like there are some moments that are very indeed jarring. To me, most of them are about the kid really becoming dehydrated and kind of freaking out in the car. That was really rough.
I didn't like that at all.
So
you're saying a dog in peril and a dog being murderous, and you've seen this kid almost dying. By the way, that kid should be dead. That kid was not breathing for a long ass time.
Do you want to know something crazy?
Yes.
I also heard this
always.
Apparently, in the book, because this is written by Stephen King.
My God. Okay.
The child dies.
Yeah.
And according to this podcast I listened to, D. Wallace was saying in an interview that Stephen King said that he was so glad that they didn't kill the kid in the movie because he said he'd never gotten that much hate mail for something in his books than when the child in Cujo dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for Cujo the book, but right, that kid should be dead. So for me, I feel like this movie is really, when I saw it the first time, I was really surprised by how intense some of the moments were and how well done they were.
Yeah.
I think there is an element of you needing to get on board with all right, there's a dog. This dog is going to be the scary thing. And I think they do, a good job of the circumstances feel very realistic.
Yeah, they do. And the dog is scary. I mean, St. Bernard is a giant animal.
It's huge.
That's bigger, weighs more than me, can easily overtake me.
But I think it's that question. I mean, and it's one of these cuddly dogs, notably humane. These are dogs that they put the little keg of rum around their neck to go rescue, skiers who broke their leg on the Alps.
They are the lifeguards of the snow. Of the Alps.
My gosh.
Lifeguard of the Alps.
They're literally saint to their name, They're sweet dogs.
Saint Bernard.
Saint Bernard.
All right. They've been
ordained.
You can pray to them.
You know what I mean? It's the idea of a dog as sweet as that getting completely fucked up. And I think,
is it a Saint Bernard in the book, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that to me is the scary thing is the idea of it, and then the fact that they this is what that would look like. And I think for some people that is a much more intense thing.
Had you read the book before you saw the film?
No, I've never read the book.
No, never read the book. Okay.
No, I just heard this interview.
So what do you think? What do you think about this kid dying? Because I'm thinking now that you bring this up, is would it have been higher stakes if that child died, or would I be pissed?
Right.
I think I'd be probably pissed. Because that kid was very cute.
The kid was very cute.
Very cute. Very adorable.
I think that again, I haven't read the book, and I'm not sure if it's but Ted was dead. The end. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
it happens literally in the last page of the book, or I don't know if that Ted dies and then there's like another 40, 50 pages that mom is processing and what happens, But I think us seeing the kid in this like really, really physical pain, I
And
think,
which is what? It's a heat stroke? What's going on with this kid?
yeah, I think from dehydration he starts
Yeah.
to seize up.
Yeah.
In this interview, Dee Wallace said that that she talked to the kid the day before, and she was like very motherly and was like, "Okay, hey, listen, tomorrow we're gonna do this scene with the seizure. Are you nervous about that?" And the kid's like, "No, that happened to me when I was like 5 years old. You want to see it?" And the kid just like goes into like a seizure and like
Oh my
just to
God.
demonstrate. So then she was like, "Man, this kid
a
can
pro.
hang. This kid's good knows
This
what's
was
up."
like the debut of this little actor too. This little kid.
Yeah.
Great job.
Amazing.
job.
Yeah. As you got older, has your like relationship with scary movies changed?
I think they're a great genre because the stories can be so similar. We were just watching Cabin in the Woods the other night, and my girlfriend and I, and she was saying, like, "Oh man, this kind of reminds me of that movie we just saw, Evil Dead Rise." We had seen in the theater, which also the majority of the story doesn't take place in a cabin, but it started off in a cabin. Because she was saying like, "Oh, this is just like a movie I filmed last year," and it's just like, well, this is like a universal story. A bunch of kids in a cabin, and there's some sort of unnatural element that is trying to get to them.
Yeah.
And that story hasn't been told since the first Evil Dead. Like,
I was
and
just saying the
maybe
dawn
before
of
that.
time,
Yeah.
but no, it's the first.
Well,
Evil Dead
that's
for sure.
basically the dawn. Yeah, but those stories can be so similar. Whether it's like someone in your dream trying to get to you, someone under the closet trying to get to you, and I think it's yeah, you're right. I mean, it does go back to
But
folklore.
yeah, but
it's-
there is something interesting about horror. Like there are certain tropes that exist that kind of help tell an old story in a new way.
Yeah.
Because you have an expectation. Okay, here's a cabin. Somebody's trying to get in. Well, great. Like, what's the thing that's trying to get in? It's kind of like that's why I keep coming back to like, what's the thing that's trying to get in? Well, in this movie, instead of a cabin, we've got a car. Instead of a witch, we've got a Cujo. And it's like, oh, and it's a different thing that's trying to get in. That very universal thing of being stranded. That's such an interesting fear to explore.
That's the scariest part.
Yeah, I think for me the relationship to horror has evolved in that I've become really, I think, fascinated with things that I'm scared of.
Yeah.
In like a kind of a more like, I don't know, whatever people kind of call it meta way, but just being like, what's the thing that scares me? And a lot of the times I think about, I'm like,
Yeah.
the thing that I'm scared of is like,
Yeah, what are the things that scare you?
well, do you know what? The things that scare me, I feel like are kind of boring because they're like pursuing my dreams, living up to my potential, trying something new, like that I might fail at. Like, like the things that I'm afraid of are these things that are like deeply rooted into like who I am as a human being, and so.
What about like jump scares? Do you have like things that make you just get real?
In real life or?
Yeah, in real life.
In real life?
Yeah.
Yeah, things that make me jumpy. To be honest, I think probably a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like I think pretty frequently in social interactions, I'll find myself. I feel like I get afraid of people all the time. I put on a good face, and I feel like I bravely kind of soldier forward. But there are just sometimes I get really intimidated by people, and it'll almost be. I'll get a sort of a jolt of fear when somebody's reaction is different than what I expect.
Yeah.
And my brain's kind of going, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. What did I say? What did that person hurt me the wrong way? Oh, shit, that person's... like there's like a weird, extremely people pleaser side of me that comes to like those are like the social interaction things,
Yeah. I still have this fear.
Okay.
There was when I first moved to Los Feliz. I've been in Los Feliz for like 7 years off and on. When I first moved there, this was like 10 years ago. I was robbed. Like first week I was there.
Oh my God.
In my in front of my house, robbed at gunpoint.
Whoa, Carlos.
And it was these two guys. They snuck. They didn't sneak, but they ran up behind me. And it was a very harmless. Besides getting a gun pointed at me, they didn't really take anything because I was like making a phone call. They were trying to grab my phone. The phone landed on the ground. It broke. I didn't have my wallet on me. I didn't have my keys on me. I was just outside to make a phone call. They ran away. That was it. But I still have this fear of when I'm walking down the street and I hear someone running behind me, I tense up, and I like I get into that fight or flight mode. Like, what is going to happen right now? Am I about to get? Is something going to happen to me? That still happens to me now and then. Whether it's like somebody running or somebody like on a lime or something, just speeding behind me. That unknown area behind you that you can't see.
Yeah.
I feel like I need glasses with like little side view mirrors or something.
Man. Wow. You know something that freaks me out is
yeah, let's get into it. What's freaking you out?
When I'm driving,
Yeah.
I guess it's a form of road rage or something.
Yeah.
But when I'm driving, it's not that someone like cuts me off, but someone doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah.
And they like barrel in, and I have to be really careful and like see them just at the right time. Mm-hmm. And it freaks me out because I'm usually, when I'm driving, I'd say pretty cavalier. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, I can do this. I can squeeze in here. I can make this sharp turn. And I bolster myself. Yeah, I can do that. And then somebody kind of comes out of nowhere, and then it sort of makes me sort of get stressed out because I'm like, well, here I am driving cavalier, thinking like I can do all these crazy turns and squeeze through these tight little spots. Yeah. And here's a person who's coming in, and they're making my already kind of somewhat unsafe driving behavior obviously unsafe, because now they're making it a more difficult situation, and I get extremely angry. What I get most freaked out by is that I'll sometimes will honk, or somebody will honk on me, and I'll honk back. And then what freaks me out is like, what's going to happen next? I'm going to pull up next to this person. Are they going to get out of their car? Are they going to throw things at my car? Are we going to have it's like I get into this thing where I know that if I lose my cool, I'm not sure that I'm going to be in a rational state of mind to then deal with what happens afterwards. Yeah. And so it's kind of just the
temporarily insane.
Yeah, it's like a fear of just my own.
If you kill someone, that's the defense you're using. Yeah. Temporary insanity.
All right, you heard it here, folks. That's my deal.
That's how you get out of it, guys.
But it's like it's like I think maybe you kind of hitting it. You kind of hit it there. This temporarily being not yourself, like being out of control. And I'm like, I'm not this person.
That is a big fear that I have.
I'm like, I'm a cool guy. I hang out, but it's just then even as I say it, it sounds like I'm already like trying to explain myself or apologize for being this way.
I think road rage is a real test of patience, and a real test of what kind of person you can become if you let yourself become that. Just recently saw Netflix Beef. Have you seen it?
I've just seen the first episode.
I've seen the first episode.
Really liked that.
But basically about just two characters who have basically nothing to live for except this hatred towards each other, this beef. Yeah. They seem like they're normal, basic people, right? Decent people. Yeah. But under the right circumstances can be your worst nightmare. And then you discover, well, it's because there's some other things under the surface that's driving them to be so unhinged at moments. Yeah. I think when it comes to a horror film, I think maybe the horror film that's probably you can relate to the most is the one where you yourself are the monster. Are you the monster?
I think that's maybe my search in the horror movies is to find the monster me.
Your worst enemy can be yourself.
It could be yourself, obviously that's a kind of a cliche phrase, but I think it has a lot of gravity, and it's very true.
No, talk to anybody. Your enemy is yourself.
Yeah, your worst critic.
And you know what? Keep your enemies close. Which means keep yourself close.
That's true. Yeah. Keep yourself in mind.
Keep yourself in mind, and self-care.
That's right.
Self-care is important.
Self-care is good
because you are your own worst enemy, and keep your enemies close.
That's right. Wow, this is a deep. This is actually why I really kind of end up really getting into the horror genre a lot. It's just kind of.
What is it about horror? What are your favorite horror films?
My
'Cause I
favorite
know
horror
it's
movies.
probably it's not gonna be Cujo, right?
No, I mean, I enjoy so many different types.
Yeah.
Cujo's great. I think it's a super fun film, and it's such a classic too. It's just such a like perennial, like people will be like, oh, Cujo. I tend to be really into movies where like one of two things is like scary. Like I like paranormal things.
Okay.
Because I like these I like these stories about the fantastical, the supernatural things that are right away ask that question: is this really happening?
Yeah.
And if it is really happening, what does that mean about the world? And if it's not happening, what is it? How is this person processing? Because I feel like there's like a nice thing that supernatural movies tap into is like, what if it's all in your head? What if you're making this up? Or what if there is no, what if there is no ghost? And I think that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So I like those. And then the other thing that I like is movies where the scary thing isn't obvious, but you are just overcome with dread. You're not sure how to cure this dread. How do I not feel scared? Like I like movies that do this where you kind of don't know what the bad guy is. You kind of don't know what the thing that's causing you to feel so, Yeah, because a couple of movies come to mind, like Hereditary is like a big one for me, and It Follows, I think, is kind of a good one that way too, where you're sort of asking yourself, like, what is this thing? I like those kind of things. I like when there's a mystery that is too complicated to resolve, and so it just becomes about these characters that sort of have to survive.
Here's the thing about horror.
Yeah,
I love horror.
Yeah,
but you can watch 20 horror films or 30 like I did last October, and maybe one or two of them are good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stinkers out there.
A lot of stinkers out there.
And
do you think it's a lot of stinkers because a lot of them truly are... Well, okay, I know the answer to this question, but I'm just saying, do you think the stinkers are because the movies are poorly made, or because the stinkers are... There's some things just that are not that scary to you?
It's a combination of probably a lot of things, but in general... I think there's a difference. I don't know if it's because it's a horror fan making a film or just a director, a filmmaker. Because no matter what, you can have like, the best actors for it and maybe a really good script. But storytelling, how are you telling the story?
Yeah.
And if it's not there, why the fuck are we here?
Yeah, seriously, what have we been doing? Yeah. Well, Carlos, I think we've covered a lot of good ground here. Really got deep. I appreciate it, man. This is a great conversation.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Let's wrap things up with your best fright and your best bite.
Best fright when Cujo broke the glass. When he broke the glass from the car door. And he breaks the glass on one side, the passenger side window.
Yeah.
He cracks it. On the other side, he's really just
like
having at it. Probably just Cujo brutalizing that car because he really dented the hell out of that car.
Yeah. But I love that when he cracks the window, you're like, oh, he's trying to get in.
But Tad asks his mom, he's like, is he going to be able to come in here? And his mom's like, no. It's like metal glass. There's no way he can come in here. And then he breaks the glass.
Yeah.
That's when you knew they were in trouble.
Yeah.
In trouble. Best bite?
Of carving boards, French dip.
The sandwich was good. It was a good sandwich. But I actually fell in love with these potato chips that are clearly house made. And it kind of just reminded me of, these chips that we buy in the stores.
Chumps.
They might as well call them potato chumps. Yeah.
My favorite fright in this movie was Tad having a seizure.
Yeah.
You know what the freakiest thing about it was? For some reason, it's his teeth. Yeah. He kind of like looks at the camera, and it's like his little teeth, and you just like.
Because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and then I just remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is happening to this child? It was very upsetting. My best bite, I think bite number, I think the second half.
The second half?
Because I was like, we still got a lot of work to do here. The first half was satisfactory, very pleased, and we got a lot of jus.
A jus?
I was very pleased with that. So
wait.
Yeah.
A jus just means, or jus means.
Jus?
juice, right? It means juice.
Oh, jus, I think really means like in juice.
In juice. I'm a fucking idiot.
No. Listen.
No, I'm not.
Listen. Only a small.
No, because I remember
population
someone
can speak
explaining
French.
this to me.
Very few
and it may
people
have been
speak
you.
French. What?
I'm having this
About the
memory
blood?
now of like the first time us having those Sammys together.
Yeah.
And I think I was asking you the same kind of like, what the hell is this thing called? And I think you said
It's called jus.
it's you.
Oh.
This all comes back to me now.
Yeah.
And I think you said it's just juice.
But when you say juice, you're like, ooh, apple juice. And you're like, nope, blood and grease juice.
Blood and grease.
All the thing.
Love it. Maybe that was the scariest part, realizing that I was dipping a sandwich in blood and juice.
You're welcome. Yeah. That's right. Well, Carlos, this has been an absolute delight. I could talk to you forever.
Yeah.
For ages.
Yeah.
Let's find another movie to talk about. This is great.
Let's do it.
More
Let's change
sandwiches,
it up.
more chats.
Let's do a rom-com.
Let's go. That's right. For for the Patreon, we're gonna do just rom-coms. Carlos, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Carlos, for the listeners, for the viewers, if they want to see your work, if they want to find out more about you, Carlos, what do you got going on for us?
Well, depending on when this drops, maybe I still have a show the fourth Friday of every month with a team called Menudo. It's not the boy band.
Okay.
It's not the soup. Although that
Okay.
would be very cool if it was a soup.
Sponsors?
But it's an improv team. It's a comedy improv team.
Where does the name come from? What's so special about the name?
Menudo. Well, basically, Menudo is it's a internationally it was a Latin craze. It was like a boy band,
Right.
And if you were to like look up the top 10 boy bands of all time, Menudo would always be on that list,
Oh
and
my
it would be
God,
the
wow.
only one of the very few that is a Latin group.
Whoa.
And of course, boy bands are basically known as being supergroups.
Yeah.
Also a little interchangeable.
Okay.
Once you age
Wow.
out. So hopefully I'm still young enough
learn
by the
something
time.
new about Western pop culture every day.
Yeah. And we're basically a pop group.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And is there a specific thing why it's Latino?
We have a thing. Yeah, we're Latinos.
Okay, so it's an all Latino improv
We're
group?
like an all Latine, Latinx, Latin Latin something, whatever. If by the time this drops, there's a new Latin word.
Latinu
we're that.
with the
Latinu. We love each other. We love doing improv. We make up stuff
that's awesome.
based on stories from the audience. It's the official name of the show is called Menudo After Dark, and we take stories from After Dark.
dirty stories.
Yeah, I mean they could be horror stories, but they're usually just dirty stories.
Love that.
You can go to our Instagram at Menudo After Dark.
You guys got to check him out. Carlos is a very, very, very funny dude. And
I hope so.
the first time I was charmed by your comedy, Carlos, was
Oh,
when
yeah.
you did this character.
Oh yeah.
Which was the janitor at UCB who got stuck at UCB
Yes,
for the
that's
entire
right.
pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's just it was this really lovely combo of
Yeah.
comedy and something fairly intense and a little horror thing in there. That
Yeah,
was
well, that was October. I think that was
Oh, it was
October when I did it.
October,
It
okay.
was about Halloween time because I
Because
remember I was doing that
this
character.
person was a little unhinged. Having been
that
stuck in the
that
theater.
character was specifically for Halloween.
I love it.
Love doing characters there as well. UCB. Just go to UCB. Ask for Carlos. They'll know what you're talking about.
Okay,
If
so
it's
the
not
Carlos
me,
is-
it might be one or two other Carloses there. There's only 3 of us.
I am so delighted to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
Please come back anytime. Thank you so much all for joining. Please join us next time. I'm Artem, your host. This is my wonderful guest, Carlos Orlando. Join us next time. And until then,
Stay hungry and stay scared.
We got it.